Hello BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm talking about my top science fiction and fantasy books of 2015. There is 4 books here that I want to talk about. One is part of a trilogy. You probably can guess which one that is, but I wanted to chat to you about the 4 main books I gave 5 stars to in this category this year. So starting with one of the most recent, that was The Painted Man by Peter V. Brett. This was my BookTuber Recommends book from Caitlin at Kitty G, and I absolutely loved this. The story is about it's set in a world. Let me show you because it's good to see the maps in these books. So we're set in a world where there's lots of villages. I don't know if you can all see that. Lots of different villages, and we're following a number of characters in those villages. It feels a bit like the olden times, you know, it feels like people are living in sort of wooden, not huts, but sort of wooden buildings. It's not medieval, but sort of set in that sort of time period. And there are these demons that every night at sunset they come out of the ground, and there's all different types. There's like stone demons and fire demons, and they basically just rip people to shreds and kill them. And the only way that people can stop that is by warding their buildings, so by drawing wards on either the floor or on their buildings that stop these creatures from coming in. But obviously the wards are not always 100%, and so there's often attacks and people die, and it's just about various different people, and mainly 3 characters. We have Arlen and Lisha and Roger, and they're sort of the 3 characters we follow. Arlen is the eldest, Lisha is the second, and Roger is the youngest at the start of this book, and they don't know each other. They live in different villages. Lisha wants to be sort of a healer, like the town healer, so someone that helps like doctor people and using herbs and things like that. Arlen wants to be sort of a messenger that goes and delivers messages through the villages, and Roger wants to be sort of a entertainer. And we just follow their stories, and it is really good, and I have picked up all the others in this series from the library, and I can't wait to read them. It was a really surprising read because I said this in my review of this when I read it. The front cover just doesn't really do it justice for me. It doesn't make it that appealing, but it was a great book. Next up will be no surprise. I talk about this a lot. The Paradox trilogy by Rachel Bach is probably my favourite science fiction and fantasy trilogy I've read this year. It starts with Fortune's Pawn, and then you have Honour's Knight and Heaven's Queen. We follow Devi, who is just a kick-ass like military defender. Devi joins a ship which is known for accidents and problems, but it could boost her career very quickly, and so she joins this ship. She wears like special armour, and she's basically the defender of the ship. She looks after it if anyone tries to attack it, and she's like the glorified security guard, I suppose, but with a kick-ass swords and guns. And it's just following her and some deceptions and the crew of this ship, and it was just brilliant. It was just a really fun space opera-y type book, and I absolutely loved it. And this really was the first type of this book that I have ever read, and so I think it's going to leave a mark with me. I'm always going to remember it fondly because it really introduced me to a new genre that I didn't really know much about and now really love. And that brings me very nicely onto my 3rd book, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is another book set on a ship, and I loved this one too. This book again is about the crew of the ship. We have a woman called Rosemary who joins the ship looking for escape from her life, and she meets the crew of the ship. They're different species from different planets. We learn all about those species, those planets. There's different sexual orientations, there's different romances, there's interesting concepts, and they take on a job in the ship because the ship drills these wormholes to make people be able to jump from one part of the universe to another very quickly, and they take on a job, and it's just about the job and the politics of the sort of universe and the planets and the species, and I loved it. It was a brilliant book and I recommend everyone pick it up. And then finally a book which is quite controversial, well, not controversial, but has really mixed reviews and is, you know, I loved it, but I have heard people who haven't enjoyed it so much. But that is Lock-In by John Scalzi. Now, whether this again is because this was my first book by John Scalzi, I don't know, but I absolutely loved this. It was sort of a crimey type book. It was really sort of a crime at the centre of it. But the idea behind it is there's been this disease and people are locked into their bodies. So their bodies are functioning, albeit they can't move about, and their brains work inside, but they're sort of locked into their bodies, so they can't move their bodies about. So they're all sort of in hospital beds and things. However, they've created this technology where people can get these threeps, where they can put their consciousness into the robot and use the robot to get around and have like a life. Anyway, we're following one of these threeps on his first day as a police person, and it's just about a conspiracy. It's about the issues that having a robot controlled by someone can, what sort of problems can cause. You know, those sort of people could, you know, jump in front of buses and do all sorts of things, you know, kill someone and run away from the police, and if their threep gets damaged, it doesn't damage the body. So it's just some really interesting concepts, and I just really enjoyed it. I found it very compelling, very interesting, and it was a definite 5-star from me. So that is my favourite books of 2015 in the science fiction and fantasy category, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye for now, BookTube.